What do you think you're doing, Erica?
It may be your mission, but this is the CIA's plane. It doesn't take off without my say-so.
We need reliable intelligence, and we need it now. This scenario is precisely why the IMF exists.
The IMF is Halloween, Alan. A bunch of grown men in rubber masks playing trick-or-treat. And if he had held on to the plutonium in Berlin, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
And his team would be dead.
Yes, they would. That's the job. And that's why I want one of my own men on the scene to appraise the situation. Agent Walker, Special Activities.
His reputation precedes.
You use a scalpel. I prefer a hammer. My man goes, or no one goes.
How did you get involved with this in the first place?
I got a call from a Q, basically. He was interested in looking for a particular character for his movie, and he had an interest in me. We had met moons ago, just as a general chit-chat, and for whatever reason I stuck in his mind. And then he said, would you be interested in doing this kind of thing? And I was like, you know what, for you, Macquarie, and to work with Tom, yeah, I'll allow it.
It was all quite mysterious, because it's all kind of very covert, and the script is written as it goes along. So I learnt quite early on that they sort of, they choose people and then develop it around their personalities or energies. Not that I play a psychopath that runs a criminal network in Paris. Anyway, I met Chris for breakfast, and he'd watched The Crown, and so had Tom, oddly. And then just because how does he have time to watch 10 hours of anything? And then I met Tom, and it sort of just, in the meeting, he said, do you want to come and join us for a bit? And I was like, I'd love to. So, yeah, that's how.
When I left Rogue Nation, I remember thinking, God, I hope she gets to come back. But there was absolutely nothing that said that she would. They didn't emphasize any sort of hope for me. So I think I was the one emailing Chris and Tom, knocking on their door going, and when am I back? I will hunt you down unless I am. So it was such an incredible time when they called and said, you are a part of the next one.
What is it about this franchise that keeps you kind of coming back to it and still being interested in doing it?
Contractual obligation. It's an opportunity to participate in a really beloved film franchise, and to work with the best people and just travel and have adventures, which is what these films inevitably entail. And I feel very lucky to have been given the opportunity,
Benji, you copy? We copy, go! Change your plan! I'm blown! Need extraction! We're on our way!
So obviously Tom's known for doing his own stunts on these movies. To what extent does that apply to the rest of the cast? I mean, does everyone else kind of get involved with that as well?
We do as much as possible. It depends on each cast member's personal likes and dislikes. Me, for example, I saw the opportunity in doing stunts on this. I was excited by the prospect and wanted to dive in. And I said to the stunt team when I arrived, I was like, guys, anything, I'm in. You don't even need to worry about asking me. Just assume that I'm saying yes.
Oh, I can't be asked. No, I mean, Tom is a Mr. 100%, and he applies that in every facet of his life, whether it's, hanging off a helicopter or going to the bathroom. He's just, he doesn't do anything by halves. And it's kind of inspiring to be around because you don't want to be left behind. You don't want to be the party pooper who's sitting around going, why do I have to do that? Because the fact is you do have to do that if you want to make a film as entertaining as this. You do have to apply yourself at that level and really pull out all the stops in order to make something which is as kind of effective and memorable as this film is.
I mean, what I know about Simon, we talk a lot about how much fun and how we kind of go, what are you doing? How many fights do you have? And he goes, well, I'm going diving. Are you going diving? And I go, no, but I get to drive a motorbike. Well, I don't really. Jenny does it, the world's best motorbike driver. But it's everything that goes on behind the actual action, I think. The training, being in the stunt room together, where the ping pong table is. Sean Harris is mean. He's bloody good at ping pong. Simon sucks.
I mean, there are some really physical scenes in it. I mean, what was the most kind of challenging sequence to shoot?
Often, a lot of the time, it was just being on the ground watching him hanging off things, because, you know, there's only so much your blood pressure can rise. For me, the speedboat stuff was really interesting, because we were, you know, bombing up, and we had an hour on the River Seine to get that, and I had to learn how to drive a twin-engine speedboat, which is very powerful and fast, and through the canals as well, which is very narrow. The underwater stuff was great. And I had to really sort of like get into it, because I looked at the monitor and thought, I could just hand this over to a stuntman, because you can't see that it's me in this wetsuit, dry suit. But I did it anyway, you know, because that's what we do in these films. So that was challenging, because it was very hot.
I would say it was the most challenging would be between the bathroom fight and the helicopter sequence. Helicopter sequence because it was just Baltic cold out there, and it took... You're up there for about 45 minutes to an hour with the doors open on the helicopter. And it's in the mountains in New Zealand, so it's nippy, to say the least. And I can't hear anything. I haven't got any headphones or anything like that, and I'm just working on visuals and going, okay, I guess we're traveling at speed now. It looks like he's chasing me, and so it's time to start acting. And so I would, and that was hard. But the bathroom fight was just 4 weeks of grueling. We never hit each other, but when you're selling impacts and hits, it does hurt. And you're hurting yourself by making it look like someone else is.
There is, in that scene, a soon-to-be iconic moment, I'm sure, of you reloading your fists during the fight. Was this your move? Was this suggested to you?
It's something I just came up with in the moment. It just felt right. It felt like, right, okay, I'm pissed off now. I'm actually going to have to break a sweat. Like, you're not going down. And that's what happened. And then McHugh went, that's really good. Do that again. Hey, don't stop doing that.
You've worked with a few different directors on this franchise now. Chris McQuarrie's obviously done this one and the one before. I mean, how does what's working with him as a director like compared to your experiences on the earlier films that you did?
Well, Tom was always really sort of clear about the fact that he wanted each film to have its own character and, you know, be made by a separate sort of auteur each time. And that very much was the case with De Palma and then Wu, JJ, and then Brad. But on Ghost Protocol, Chris came on as a writer to sort of help with some of the script issues that we were having. And Chris and Tom had worked together on Valkyrie, and I think that's why Tom had brought Chris in. And they've just developed this rhythm. And so Chris sort of came on to direct Rogue Nation. And I think at that point, Tom felt so sort of comfortable and in tune with Chris that it felt like this was a sort of a combination he didn't want to undo, you know. So rather than trying to follow this, just follow the rule for the sake of it, he thought, no, this is working, let's do this again. Not that it ever didn't work before, but I think over those 3 films, Ghost Protocol, this one, and this, Rogue Nation and this one, they've just sort of developed this incredible simpatico in it, and they are an amazing team, you know.
You've worked on some big productions before. How does this compare in terms of production, the scale of production, compared with things like Justice League or Superman?
It's on a very similar scale, but the difference is the locations and the level of practical stunts. For a lot of the superhero movies, it's a lot of green screen, it's a lot of stages, and so you're normally in one place. But when it comes to this kind of movie, you're traveling the world, and that makes it more fun.
The set is exactly the same, it's just much bigger. So the locations are just more epic in a way. So they have the Grand Palais, St Paul's Cathedral, and, you know, scenes literally in front of the Eiffel Tower.
It always gets grander and bigger somehow. I mean, I don't know how he does it. And I guess that's kind of the beauty of it. I don't want to overanalyze it. Yeah. I just hope we're not going into space next time. I'm saying us. I'm just putting myself in the next film, just saying. 6
movies in, it still feels like there's a lot of life in this franchise. I mean,
I know.
Has a next one been talked about yet, or is it just too early for that?
Well, I would imagine, in my humble opinion, and this is my own opinion, that we probably will do one again. I can only speculate because there's so much life in this one. I can't imagine that not sort of continuing for a bit. It all depends on many, many factors, but I'd like to do another one, you know. We'd have to really do something special. I don't know what we'd do. I've already said this to Chris and Tom. It's like, if we are going to do another one, what the hell are we going to do now, really? Because we just used up all our kind of aces, you know, in one film. There are 4 major set pieces in this film, all of which would form a respectable climax to a good movie. And they're all in this one film.
Ethan, that's not who we are.
Maybe we need to reconsider that. Accept it, Ethan. You've lost this one. What's done is done.
What's done is done when we say it's done.
Showtime.
Oh my God.